great art. You want to develop an infallible technique. And then place yourself at the mercy of inspiration. And I think that the New Works Festival is a place where we give ourselves over to the mercy of inspiration. And the festival as a structure is here to support that work. And so that kind of that popper, that's the way I see and view part of what the festival does. And some of the outcomes, I think Kirk is going to talk about.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say, as I think about the festival, I think that to produce a single theatrical work is a complicated endeavor. You have to create the work, which involves a great deal of sort of balancing your narcissism and your self-doubt about what you're speaking about and why you're speaking about these things. But then you have to go through casting, you have to go through budgeting, you have to go through marketing. It's complicated. But to produce 40 new works at the same time, it becomes not just 40 times the amount of work, but it becomes exponentially difficult. That we watched and facilitated, but by and large the students themselves manage the problem of if an actor wants to be cast in 2 separate shows, then that affects the scheduling. If you have to work out your budget so that somebody needs a projector or 6 shows need projectors, if you put them all in the same space, you can make the budget support each show, support the other shows. And so students have learned this phenomenal amount of information from their own work and from their own trial and error. And I just want to, the students are about to get up here and I'm going to thank everybody in the universe. And I think we wanted to take a moment to thank the students for their energy and for their work producing and also for teaching us about a little bit of grace.
So the head of this student pyramid that is the New Works Festival is Sydney Monroe Williams. Please come on up here.
All right. So those of you who know me, yesterday I was sporting mutton chops, and then I shaved them off last night in a fit. Preparing for the festival. Just decided to get rid of some extra weight. So yeah, I am here to welcome you and start the festival. It is with great joy and a sigh of relief that I can say the festival is now. It's been a good 16 months of planning and tons and tons of emails that have really enriched my life. So on with the speech. So greetings, University of Texas faculty and staff, students, esteemed guests, and visitors to the 2013 Cohen New Works Festival presented by the University Co-op. As previously stated, I'm Sydney Monroe, the assistant producer. And I would like to take this time to thank all of you for being here to celebrate the start of what promises to be an exciting week of collaboration, intersectionality, fun, dialogue, and community engagement. Since spring 2012, the festival's executive committee, alongside the committee at large, have devoted countless hours to bring us all to this moment. This moment not only represents the immense talent that is bursting out of the walls and basements of the theater and dance department, but it also signifies the support and guidance of the University of Texas community, the coming together of national and international networks, modeling learner-centered education, and the development of innovative methodologies that will have a significant impact on our immediate environment and future ventures. The festival, named after David Mark Cohen, was crafted out of the blinding brilliance of Susan L. Ziener. During Susan's time here, the festival has seen multiple incarnations, but the focus has always been on creative exploration and generating new works that reflect the voices of emerging artists. Susan, without your light illuminating a path for us to follow, the 2013 festival would not be what it is today. It is an honor to be a part of your legacy, and I cannot thank you enough for how much you've impacted my life as a student, a professional, artist, and individual. With that said, a small gesture of our gratitude is a sincere and loving thank you. but the gratitude doesn't stop there. Dean Doug Dempster is with us today, and on behalf of the festival, we would like to say thank you for your gracious support. One of the staples of the festival's mission statement centers on interdisciplinarity. And without the administrative support of the College of Fine Arts, the spectrum of diversity that is showcased in the festival would not be as far-reaching. Again, we thank you, and we aspire to foster future dialogues and relationships with the College of Fine Arts. Dr. Grant Pope, Theater and Dance Department Chair, is not only a scholar and an artist, but he'll also go round for the people and the work that happens under his roof. This became evident to me last semester while I was serving as assistant director on a theater for young audience production called And Then Came Tango. Brant, your attention and care for the production staff of And Then Came Tango during a time of vulnerability, activism, and artistic growth is just one of the many examples of how your leadership is valued. In regards to the festival, I don't know how many fires you had to put out, but to borrow from Smokey Bear, only you can prevent administrative fires. And thank you. Mounting a week-long festival that features 40 projects, 180 plus events, and the attendance of 8,000 guests is no small feat. And Mr. George Mitchell, we greatly appreciate the support you've shown us over the years. Due to the support of the University Co-op, the festival has seen immense growth through community outreach and offering emerging artists a space to germinate artistic seedlings. From all of us, thank you, and the University Co-op for making all of this possible. Of course, there is a huge thank you to the Theater and Dance Department overall, not only the students, but also the faculty and staff that have been mentors and donated from your chairs to keep the festival going, and just the student work that's been so great and enriching to what we're trying to present in this festival. I would like to have Dean Doug Dempster, Dr. Grant Pope, Dr. Susan L. Zeter, and George Mitchell join me on the stage as we thank them and present them with some tokens of our appreciation. Again, we presented them with shirts from the Cohen New Works Festival and a signed poster from the executive committee and the producers. And again, thank you so much for all that you've done for us. So next I would like to introduce Brent Cook, who will be coming to speak as well. And I'll turn it over to him.
Okay, good. Thanks. As Kirk said, I'm balancing narcissism and self-doubt, so I have to tell you I am Smokey the Bear. They laughed 20 seconds after the joke. Sydney really gave a lot of the thank yous. I'll just do it briefly. Just seconding what he said, that without the support of the dean, without the college's support, the New Works Festival would be impossible. So it is incredibly important we have the kind of dean that gets excited about this, about new work. It would be impossible without Doug. So thank you very much, Dean. I think you know that without the generous support of the co-op as producing sponsor, that thousands and thousands of students over the years and this year would not have the ability to participate in and to experience the New Works Festival. That to make this free to the entire community and to the public would be impossible without the support of the co-op. And to George for his friendship, for his enthusiastic support of the fine arts and for New Works, and as the world's favorite person of theater and dance, please help me thank George Mitchell. When we, part of what Doug and I have to do, obviously, is represent the department and the college nationwide. And when we talk about the New Works Festival, what we're able to say is that every university has to be in the business of making new things. In the physics lab, in business, in the international expansion of business in the world, in the law school, dealing with legal issues related to the internet, pushing the fields forward. Well, in terms of what we're doing here, this is how we are putting new things into the world. That imagination is the ability to conceive of things differently, and creativity is making that manifest in the world. So this is both imagination and creativity. It is the way that we've expanded from originally the first, Susan was telling me that the first festival really was pretty much plays because people hadn't really conceived of any new work other than plays. Now it includes plays and new works of all kinds, as you know. Putting together different artists and experimenting, pushing it forward. And this is what's so exciting. And I think it celebrates the entrepreneurial spirit, to learn what it means to work as a team, to imagine, to conceive, to make it happen. That lesson that young artists can use in their life, even if they aren't artists, in any other aspect of the world, is so exciting, so important. So the New Works Festival is a celebration of new work, and it's a celebration of the entrepreneurial spirit. And that's what unites all of us here today. So we celebrate each other. We celebrate this festival. Here we go. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, Sarah, I didn't introduce you.
No, you don't have to introduce
This is Sarah Saltwick, everybody.
As you just heard, I'm Sarah Saltwick, and I'm the guest artist committee chair. I'm here to tell you a little bit about Polly Carl, who will be our keynote speaker. Polly Carl is the director and editor of HowlRound, a center for the theater commons at Emerson College. Her work at HowlRound is focused on promoting practices for 21st century theater making based on the core principle that theater is for everyone. Over 15 years in professional theater, she has focused on developing and producing new plays, working with dozens of playwrights and theater companies from around the country. In addition to continuing to make theater, she now devotes significant energy to researching innovative practices for the theater and writing and publishing of essays. I like a world filled with risk, mistake, catastrophe, and an occasional triumph, here or there, she wrote in her HowlRound post entitled Burning Down a House. The essay is about Detroit by Lisa DeMoore, a UT alum, but also about the disruptive nature of art. Art that knocks you down, art that changes the way you see the world and yourself. In the spirit of risks, mistakes, and triumphs made and yet to be made as part of the festival, please help me welcome Polly Carl.
I feel almost not seeable. Put them back. I promise I'll put them back. Thank you for that introduction. I'm so happy to be here. When I walked in, there was no one here in this ballroom, and I was reminded that in 1986, that was the last time I wore a dress. And I was wishing I had it suddenly. Right? Instead, I have my Kevin Durant sneakers, and that will have to suffice. First, I just want to say thank you. The committee has been so great, and Sarah, you and your team have been so welcoming and great communicators. I'm happy to be here. I have been the recipient of the impact of the UT Austin program my entire career. And so it's really a number of artists that I have worked with that have come out of this program is probably more than any other program because of its high caliber. And we call it, when I worked at university, when I worked in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, that I-35 corridor, I worked with I probably worked with every great writer that's come out of this program and many of the directors. So it's really an honor to kind of come full circle and have an opportunity to share a few words with you today. So to start, I want to get us in the mood. So I'm sorry, I have a little. This is the slightly performative element. I don't actually perform. All right. So just lay the.
except to provide. Baby, it's all. Are you going so inside? Your miracle. Stand up and fight. This is it. Take all right, that should do it. A little Kenny Loggins. There have been times in my life I've been wondering why. Still, sometimes I believe we always survive. Now I'm not so sure. You're waiting to hear one good reason to try, but what more can I say? What's left to provide? You think that maybe it's over, only if you want it to be. Are you going to wait for your sign, your miracle? Stand up and fight. This is it. Make no mistake where you are. This is it. Your back's to the corner. This is it. Don't be a fool anymore. This is it. The waiting is over. Just in case you couldn't hear the lyrics. I like to think of being asked to give a keynote as a this is it moment. The waiting is over. Don't be a fool anymore. Your back's to the corner. And like Loren Moore's choreographer character in her brilliant short story, Dance in America tells us, I make this stuff up. But then I feel the stray voltage of my rented charisma, hear the jerry-built authority in my voice, and I too believe. I'm convinced. I hope in this brief moment we share that I can call forth my own rented charisma, that I can convince you that this is it right now. For Kenny Loggins, this is the precipice of love. Will it survive? Will Loggins be able to coax his lover back? Get her to choose him one more time in this moment where there's no turning back? In the next several minutes, as I wind my way through Loren Moore's story, the culture wars, and my own definition of civilization, I want you to think about this moment. This is it. The moment before we enter a festival of new works, the moment before you as students share yourselves and your art. This is it for you. There's no turning back. The festival will begin. Now back to Loren Moore's story. The protagonist in Dance in America is an aging dancer and choreographer, currently in Nebraska, where she has come to spend 2 weeks in the schools to do a workshop with students. She decides to spend her last night of her artist residency with her old friend Cal, who she hasn't seen in 10 years. He and his wife Simone lived in what was once a frat house on the campus where Cal teaches. And they have a 7-year-old son, Eugene, who has cystic fibrosis and a short-term prognosis. And in a story that holds for me in balance every tension around the value of art in our culture, Eugene embodies in his wheezing and hunched body the very problem with insisting that art is essential to life. If people are sick, dying, hungry, and being tortured in war, how can we possibly make time and money for art? Our understanding of what it means to survive defines our political priorities and our love songs. In 1993, when Loren Moore published Dance in America, the stakes of this, in This Is It, were nothing less than the cultural value of art in America. This life or death moment made manifest in the waning body of a 7-year-old. Should we fund science and art? By 1995, the culture wars that Moore is responding to will result in the budget of the National Endowment for the Arts being cut from $162 million to $99 million. The Individual Artist Fellowship Program will be eliminated, perhaps the very program funding our dance choreographer's residency in Moore's story. And Cal, in our story, speaks as an echo to the voices of the U.S. congressmen who will be responsible for this shift in arts funding. The congressmen who made sure when they won the culture wars that civilization, as defined by the United States government, cannot make room for the pornographic photography of Robert Mapplethorpe or Andre Serrano's Christ on a Crucifix covered in the artist's urine,
As Cal and our choreographer take a walk around the neighborhood before their dinner with Simone and Eugene, he argues, "It's not that I'm not for the arts. You're here. Money for the arts brought you here. That's wonderful. It's wonderful to see you after all these years. It's wonderful to fund the arts. It's wonderful. You're wonderful. The arts are so nice and wonderful." But really, I say, let's give all the money, every last fucking dime, to science. We hear the urgency in Cal's voice, the panic. If we don't fund science with enough support right now, my son will die. Who gives a damn about artist residencies? Civilization and its discontents. The NEA was founded in 1965 on the idea that a country's greatness must be in part determined by its commitment to the arts. The NEA, in its original statement of purpose, declares, "A high civilization must not limit its efforts to science and technology alone, but must give full value and support to the other great branches of man's scholarly and cultural activity." These words are a direct echo of the words of John F. Kennedy, who sowed the early seeds of the NEA at the start of his presidency. He says, "The life of the arts, far from being an interruption, a distraction in the life of a nation, is very close to the center of a nation's purpose and is a test of the quality of a nation's civilization." Moore's choreographer is shaping civilization, as artists do. She is working with fourth graders in Eugene's school. She has her students invent a character, then make a mask, and she leads them in a dance that she choreographs to the tune of Kenny Loggins' "This Is It." Before dinner, she shows Eugene a video of the classroom performance. Eugene, only in third grade, idolizes his older schoolmates. He's completely captivated by the video. And when it finishes, he says, "That was a really wonderful dance. It's colorful and has lots of fun, interesting steps." But as Eugene utters these words, we wonder if he'll make it to the fourth grade. The "this" in Moore's "This Is It" is civilization. And as Cal so clearly articulates it, art is wonderful, but not essential to this, certainly not essential to Eugene. And when did we as a field, the field of not-for-profit theater, where I spend my days, around the country, lose sight of theater as a function of civilization? When did we become like Cal in prioritizing survival over shaping civilization? This is something I think about and write about all of the time. When did we shrink our field to becoming like a science of marketing data and techniques to sell tickets at ever higher prices to ever less diverse demographics? When did we decide that the most important thing about our work and our contribution to civilization was perpetuating our individual survival, or the singular survival of our theater, or our academic training silo? As those of you in this room think about your role in shaping civilization in the years to come, you will be like Moore's choreographer, renting charisma on a regular basis and making a case for why theater matters. And you will have to define this for yourself. And here's the single biggest barrier in my mind to defining this for the theater. And I'm going out on a limb here, struck by a stray voltage from my own words. The most complicated part in making a case for your art and your theater will be to understand what part of what you're doing belongs to you and what part belongs to civilization. As a practitioner, you will spend a lot of time with your individual sense of things. You'll define your aesthetic, your voice, and your vision for the work. And the more you define it, the more you'll become confident in what I like to call the I of your practice. I see it this way. I like this play. I think we should produce this play or this season. You risk becoming obsessed with your own survival. You risk forgetting about civilization. And there's nothing worse than showcasing your work at a festival and bringing in professionals to witness to bring out the worst of the I in a theater artist. Trust me. We can eye ourselves to death in this environment. Your I will wonder what I think. And I will think what I think represents something bigger. And if I'm not careful, I might start to think I'm civilization. No, really, there are artistic leaders out there who think their visions represent civilization. Those leaders who forget to add women to their seasons, and who can't find any plays by people of color worth producing. Moore's protagonist considers the problem of her own narcissism. The dancer obsessed with every nuance of her body. Over dinner with Cal, Simone, and Eugene, they talk about the past. Cal asks if she is still with Patrick, her lover, when Cal last knew her. She tells us that they broke up, and her mind wanders briefly from the dinner conversation. All I can think of is how Patrick, when he left, fed up with my selfishness, said that if I was worried about living alone in the lake house, I should just rent the place out, perhaps to a nice lesbian couple like myself. Get it? She is her own lesbian couple, in love with herself. And we're back where we started. Is art a vanity project, or is it essential to civilization? And of course I'm here because I believe the latter, that this thing called the imagination can save us from our narcissism. That scarcity mentality that can drive us to believe our individual survival and success is the most important thing. Dance time, Eugene shouts at the end of the dinner. We learn that every evening ends this way. Eugene and family dance until he tires and falls asleep. Tonight, our choreographer picks the music. Knowing how much Eugene liked the video of the classroom dance lesson, she puts on Kenny Loggins' This Is It. They all begin to dance. Then Eugene tires and sits down to watch the adults. Our choreographer goes to Eugene. Come here, honey, I say, going over to him. I am thinking not only of my own body here. I am not thinking only of myself, my lost troupe, my empty bed. I am thinking of the dancing bodies, magnificent and ostentatious scorn. This is how we offer ourselves. Enter heaven, enter speaking. We say with motion, in space, this is what life's done so far down here. This is all and what and everything that's managed. This body, these bodies, that body. So what do you think, Kevin? What do you fucking think? Stand next to me, I say to Eugene, and he does, looking up at me. We step in place. Knees up, knees down. Knees up, knees down. This is it. This is it. Then we go wild and fling our limbs to the sky.
I would now like to introduce Cassidy Browning, who's our engaging research chair, and she's going to tell you about some things that we have coming up this week.
I wasn't just being an obnoxious teenager, I was taking pictures and quoting everybody, so be excited and look at Facebook and Twitter. So yes, okay, so I'm so excited today to be here as the representative of Engaging Research. This is our second festival in existence. It's a very exciting element of the festival. Trying to create spaces for critical engagement with what we're doing, because we tend to sort of gallop along, just trying to get to the finish line, and Engaging Research tries to say, hey, what are you doing? And why? And how is it cool? Great, keep going, right? And then we cheer everybody along. So that's the goal. And one of the other things we're doing is trying to make sure that there are great spaces for feedback from all of the wonderful people who are enjoying the pieces. So one of these things is going to be response ribbons. You will see ribbons outside of each of the venues with little pieces of paper, small prompts, to give sort of anonymous abstract feedback. So please take a few minutes after you see a show, pick up a piece of paper, sketch something, put a couple adjectives down, pin that to the ribbon, and these ribbons will be given to the projects at the end of the festival, and it's a really sort of wonderful gift for them to get a sense of the pulse of what people were sort of thinking and feeling right when they left those pieces. We also have all sorts of wonderful programming like the filaments, the plugins and everything, but I know that you're online, you're on our online calendar that's amazing and telling you about those. So I won't take any more of your time, but please make sure you participate in our feedback. Thanks so much.
Since everyone's not using the mic now, I don't want to use the mic. But, I'm not. So this is the end of our opening event, and we would invite you to continue to enjoy our food and socialize. Our first show will be at 1 p.m., so you have time to make it back over there. But thank you for attending, and the festival is now.